So let's get started with the inseam pocket. So you should have four pocket bags cut out, and actually this pattern says cut one on fold. You actually need two of them, because if we have four pockets, we're going to put two on each side. This is the basic introductory inseam pocket. I'm going to show you at the end how you can do this so it's a little bit more tucked into the garment and you don't risk being able to see it. And because of this, I'm going to point it out, I'm using a different fabric for my pockets that's a really high contrast so that you'll be able to see the difference. So the first thing you want to do, which is very important, is to put in your notches. So make sure you snip. Notches always go in about a third in from the edge. And obviously you want one over here to control your bag. And you want to do the same thing on the skirt. So on this pattern, these top two notches are going to be where I'm going to line up my pocket bag. This bottom one is just going to indicate where the hem is. So we can use that and press it up for a little practice too. So the pocket is going to get sewn like so onto the skirt body. The next thing I'd like you to do is to just go in and put a little mark on your fabric to indicate what the right side is, because the right and wrong side for this, as always, is really important. So make sure that you know which is the right side of your fabric. On this I have a print, so I know what it is. So I'm going to now just take one pocket and open it up. I'm sorry, one skirt body and open it up. Then I'm going to take my pockets and take two of them, and I'm going to line them up with the top of the skirt and the edges with right sides together. And as you can see, my notches will match up. I'm going to do that on both the front of the skirt and on the back of the skirt. I'm going to do the same thing. And obviously if you're making a garment, then you'll know which is the front and which is the back. Here we're just doing a sample so we can show you the pockets. So I'm going to do the same thing here, lining up that right angle on both. Okay, the next step is going to be to stitch just to the end here from top to bottom. I'm going to stitch both of these at 1/2 inch. So I can see here my notches are really well lined up, so I'm really good to go. So the next step is going to be to press. Pressing is 50% of your sewing and extremely important. So again, I'm going to finger press this open and then take my iron, and I'm just going to iron to the bottom of the pocket. I don't want to press all the way down. I'm just going to iron to the bottom of the pocket and make sure that everything is nice and pressed out before I start to sewing. So I'm pressing this seam open. And again, I'm showing you with contrasting fabric so that you can really see what happens and where exactly where you need to be careful. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Wait for my steam to clear the lens, and I'm going to press the front of the garment, and now I'm going to press the back. So all four seams get pressed open carefully. Again, I like to finger press so I can see where I'm headed. And again, I should make sure pressing is so important. And not only that, but it makes your sewing easier because you can really see what you've done. You can catch mistakes. It's very, very important. Okay, and that's my back. So now I have my skirt front pockets attached, and I have my skirt front pockets attached. Now that you have the pockets pressed open and you know that this seam is going to be nice and sharp, now what you're going to do is to take the seams and press them back to their original position. So you really need to do this to create this nice sharp crease. So now what you want to do is to press your seam allowance so that it is closed, like so. Because this is how the pocket will get sewn. Okay, so you have the nice crease there. And you now press it close. Oops. And now I'm ready. Woo. And now I'm ready to stitch. So now what I'm going to do is to take these two and I'm going to line them up. Make sure that I line them up exactly. And again, if you use contrasting, it's a little easier to see. And then I'm going to start stitching here. I'm going to stitch around the pocket. I'm going to stop with my needle right here. Let me zoom in for you. So I'm going to stop with my needle right here and then continue down the seam. Okay, so starting at the top, 1/2 inch, all the way, practicing going around your curve up into your connection point and then down the seam. The very last piece to this is going to be to take the seam, let me zoom in a little bit here for you so you can see, is to take the seam, typically it's on the back, but it really doesn't matter, but what you want to do is to snip it free. So you're going to take it and snip it, and this way when you turn your seam open, you'll now be able to steam and iron your seam flat. So this will be snipped here to release the clip, and you'll be able to do it to press the seam flat. So here we have our pockets finished. So if you can imagine, the bag will get caught, the right sides, front and back of the pocket will get caught when you stitch your waistband or your facing on. That'll catch the top of the pocket, and then you can see here, because it was carefully stitched, that it's not showing from the front side. Okay, so there's my inside pocket bag. I'm going to talk a little bit about other ways to do this that I think are a little better. But this is the basic concept, that you're basically stitching. Let me turn this inside out. So the basic concept here is that you're going to be stitching down around the pocket and then down the seam, so leaving this open for you to put your hand into. Okay, so that's your pocket sample. So let's talk about other ways to do this. So here you can see this is the pocket that we just did. It goes across the top, so you get a nice wide bag that way. But this is only if a pocket gets caught in a waistband or a facing at the waist. If a pocket needs to be set down further, then there's a little bit of a different approach. You can see with this how the difference in the shaping of the bag is. So in order for it to sit further in a garment. So if your garment does not have a waist, if it's a dress, this is how your pocket would look. It would be sewn the same way, where you would sew down the seam, stop, go around the bag, come back to the seam, and then continue the seam, leaving the slit open. No need to worry about this for now. I just wanted to give you a little bit more to think about. So let's get busy on our pocket sample.